Hey guys, so it's Tuesday evening. Excuse me, I look a hot mess. I'm not feeling so well, but we're here. So it was brought up to me by somebody I know that's having issues in their marriage in regard to,
Who is it?
uh, yeah, we're all dealing with something, right? But in regards to putting others before your family. So, like when I met Armando, he had a daughter. I knew this getting in, and I would never assume that I came before her, and then obviously our kids came into the picture. And I think some people get this whole priority list or level of priority thing kind of mixed because it's gonna differ. It's not gonna be just straight, always me or always him or always the kids. Obviously, if the kids need something, we're gonna get it. That's how we are. It just kind of depends on what it is. It's not gonna just be black or white. There is that little gray area, but something we've learned the hard way, especially me. That what matters truly in a marriage is those people inside our four walls. And my husband always tells me that, it's only the people in our home, our immediate family. So whether it's just you and your husband, whether or you and your boyfriend, or you two and a kid, whatever it is, or if you have 10 kids, whatever it is, but it's that family unit. We can't be worrying about our sister or our parents or our nieces or whoever unless we're in a good place. How are we going to help anybody else?
That's true. When me and Stephanie got together, my mentality changed completely. And the way that it changed is because, excuse me, I learned very, very early on in our relationship that anybody that had something to say was just an opinion. That's all it was for me. It was an opinion. What mattered was what Stephanie said, because that's what mattered. I always use this for my friends, and it's kind of nasty the way that I'm going to put this example or this analogy. But I had a friend that was telling me and was complaining about his mother-in-law butting into his relationship all the time and butting in and butting in. And then I gave him this kind of scenario, and I called it the fart situation. Because when you're in a room laying in bed and you fart, your mother-in-law doesn't smell it. Your wife does. And that's what I call about just having just those people that are there in that bed, in under that roof, just how my wife said, in those four walls, that actually smells that. And those are the people that matter because they smell it. You want to air it out for them. Your mother-in-law doesn't smell it, your mom doesn't smell it, and your sister don't smell it. And they're not, it's like their opinion will always matter, and it'll always have leverage in your life. But in reality, to me, what matters the most is what Stephanie says.
I hear, and I've been victim to this, where you start opening up to your parents, and then they have their input, and then sometimes you kind of get blinded by what their opinion is. So you start maybe reading into it a little too much, or maybe because they don't have all the facts, all they hear is your side. They don't have both sides, and they're not a neutral party because our family's gonna back us up in the end. So when you bring a third party into it that has really no part of the thing,
Especially
it
your mom,
taints
who's gonna just
things.
protect their cub.
Yeah, I mean, I get when people, I get it if you're living with them, you kind of have no choice and you got to respect it, and they're going to kind of be in your business, unfortunately. But, I mean, if you're on your own and you're paying your own bills and your parents are not financially supporting you, I mean, I hate to say it, they really shouldn't have much say so in your marriage because if,
Again, what they're gonna say is just an opinion.
yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you go to them for, hey, what would you do in this situation? But I've learned the hard way. You gotta kind of limit how much they know because like I said, they're always gonna have your back versus your spouse's or your partner's. So my thing is, everybody else has to come kind of not even secondary because you're gonna have your. To me, and this is like not no joke. I'm not trying to preach to anybody, but since we put God and church first in our home, things changed. I mean, I don't know if my husband can say the same, but I know I've seen huge change where we go to church every Sunday. We talk about God in our life. I have a huge wall of crosses, not just because I like them, but because it's a constant reminder to me of our faith. And when we started really recommitting to this faith and showing our children that, our whole life kind of changed, our whole attitude, our whole demeanor in our home, where, our words, like I said, our words were a lot different. We're not arguing, we're not yelling at each other, we're not speaking really negative to each other. And to me, I'm conscious of that every day. It is a lifestyle. It's something that I want to live day in and day out. And when you start doing that, it's like the Bible says, it should be God first, and then your spouse, and then your children. Obviously, in a life or death situation, yes, you're gonna help your children because they cannot help themselves. I get that. Or like I said, if they need something, you're gonna go without to give it to them. Absolutely understandable. We do that every day. But they right, we can't be good we can't be good parents unless we're good. So we got to kind of take care of us before we can take care of anybody else, which is another thing. A lot of us neglect ourselves. We're not worrying about our health, about our diet, about anything. We just kind of are mundane and running through life, and we have to be 100% before we can give anybody else anything else. And that even in regards to our marriages, our spouses. It's huge.
You gotta prioritize each other. Again, I love this word priority. And again, when you use it right, it's very effective in your life when you prioritize everything. And to me, again, I prioritize. My mom's a priority. Don't get me wrong. And again, everything that she says regarding anything is always going to be an opinion. Even when I go seeking for answers, her response to me is going to be an opinion. And that's what it is. So you have to prioritize the people that matter the most, and the people that are going to equal something of value in your life. Again, prioritizing your time is time that you'll never get back when you do it right. So that's just the way that I see it. So again, opinions outside of these walls will always be opinions. To me, what matters the most is what my kids and my wife have to say underneath this roof.
I think, and it's as simple as what we put in, just like work. What you put in, you're gonna get back. Same thing goes in a marriage and as a parent, in your home. I mean, everything. If you put in the work, the results will come back to you. You just have to be willing to put it in. And we all get lazy at some point in our marriages where we just kind of,
Settle in, find a groove on the couch.
we do. And, some of us, it's different for some of us. Priorities tend to change versus men and women. That's a whole nother topic we'll get into another day. But I mean, we can't focus on what's outside of our house and then expect that other partner to just be sitting there waiting. You make a commitment when you get married, and that's why it says you're taking it, and that, like in the Bible says, you're leaving your parents to go to that person. And that's huge, and it's absolutely true. You're supposed to kind of like, okay, I'm gone, mom and dad.
Thanks.
I'm going to recommit with this person. I'm gonna be fine. Like I said, unless it's a really dire situation, I mean, there should be no reason to be putting our parents first, unless they're on their deathbed and you're like, I need to be there with them right now.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They're important. They are important in our lives. And remember, they're part of the support system because they're the grandparents. You want them to enforce what you say to your kids. That's the grandparents' duty. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but a grandparent will do the following. They'll say, listen to mom and dad, and then they'll kiss them goodbye, right? Listen to your mom and your dad, okay? And that's grandpa saying that. That is grandpa and grandma enforcing what you have to say. And again, I come back to that, them saying whatever they say is going to be an opinion, whether it's a support system or not. It's always going to be an opinion. And then if you want to make the big mistake of running back to your parents and telling them the issues or the marital issues that you're having,
don't get mad because of their opinion.
Yeah, because it's going to be an opinion that you're not going to like, because they're always going to protect you, whether you're 5 or you're 55. They're always going to protect you, and they're going to be on your side. So they're not going to see your partner the way that you painted him when you told them or you were complaining 20 minutes ago, and then they see your partner. They're not going to see them the same way that you see them, because they're not going to be as easily forgiving as you are.
I think a big thing is just, for anybody that's going through something right now, or maybe in the middle or will be going through it, sit down and really do some soul searching. I know him and Armando and I have had like sit down conversations, like, what do you really want from this marriage? And we do this every so often because I just want to retouch base that we're still on the same page, we're still on the same goals, we still have the same end result we're trying to get to, because eventually the kids are going to grow up, they're going to leave our house. God willing, and they're going to live their own lives. And I want to make sure that this is still somebody that we still want to be together, in the next 30, 40, whatever years, and that we're going to be okay together. And what I see a lot of people is that, like I said, they either give up, it's too much to deal with, you run away, things get tough, and instinct is fight or flight. So I'm a fighter. I argue. I want to talk it out. He's a fighter by nature, but when it comes to dealing with things, his thing was always I got to get out of here. So, because he obviously can't fight me the way he would normally fight, on the street. So, and I get that, and we all have different mechanisms that work for us, but I think the big thing is to really sit down and get to the nitty gritty, to kind of say, like, am I still here for you? Are you still here for me? Do we do it for each other? Because we ask each other that stuff,
Yeah.
and it's okay to question that.
What I always tell my friends, and one of the most important things is don't really put an expectation on your marriage. When you put an expectation on your marriage, you kind of set yourself up for failure, because you expect your wife to do something that she didn't do, and now you're bummed out because it didn't go as you expected. And it's okay. When you expect, the normal thing in a marriage is to expect what normal is in a marriage. And when you have these high standards of, oh, I need to come home and my wife needs to have dinner or whatever it is, and it's not always gonna be that expectation, and it's normal to go from low to high, or from high to low. It's every day is gonna be different. When you set those expectations that in the morning, and you get up and at 8 in the morning, and then you say, no, when I get home at 5, I expect dinner on the table, and then you come home and dinner's not on the table, what is that gonna create? Right? An argument. Here we go. Right? And that's not what it's all about, because sometimes there's highs, sometimes there's lows. You gotta also understand, not expect, understand that your partner's probably just as tired as you are from working that whole 9 hours that you just worked. So it really understand each other, not expect anything from each other, to be like, well, you didn't do this and I didn't do that, so I'm not gonna do it because I expected dinner and you're the wife and you're the da 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 da. We actually have a rule here at our house that we kind of implement, where she does all the cooking and I do all the janitorial at the end. And I kind of like it that way. I like to clean up. I'll start cleaning up, and because I know she did all the cooking, and it works for us.
I think it's healthy to, nothing is set in stone. Like, what works for us, 13 years ago, doesn't necessarily work for us now. Lots change in 13 years. So it's okay to reassess things and say, hey, things need to be tweaked a little bit because of this, because
Absolutely.
of my schedule, because of your schedule, or whatever it is. But it's okay to reassess those things and make the changes in the home to modify for both of you that it benefits you. But something I wanted to touch on before I forget is, like, a lot of, it's funny because my husband gets it a lot too, and people will be like, why are you pussy whipped? Why are you so addicted to your wife? Why do you do whatever she wants? To me, you should be not just in love with your spouse and love them. You should be willing to bend over backwards for them. I'm willing to do that for him. I know he's willing to do it for me. Because if not, then why are you together?
That's true.
I think the people that have those problems, that's an insecurity that they don't want to get down or give to somebody. And that's okay. And that works for them. But if you're not willing to, like, be vulnerable and, like we talked about yesterday, be completely all, revealing and naked to that person, then what are you there for?
Exactly.
Then you might as well just keep dating and have nothing meaningful.
Nothing meaningful, and that's horrible, and that's what I tell my little brother all the time. My little brother says, Armando, when am I going to find the one? And I tell him, you know what, you wait, because deep down inside, you'll find out when that girl is worth you putting your jacket over that puddle of water so she can walk on over. Because I won't do that for just anybody. I'll do it for my wife, and I did it for, maybe back then, 13 years ago. But this is the only person that I'll take off my jacket for, so she won't have to step in a puddle of water. And I won't say that just for a bunch of people, but that's the advice that I give to my little brother, is not every girl out there is going to be worth your jacket over that puddle of water.
We have to be willing to go the length, go the distance, do whatever it takes. And I guess that's how you kind of know. What is there, like a saying that I'm sure everybody's seen on Facebook or Instagram, that the relationships that last are the ones that have gone through everything. because you've been tested, and the whole point is that you've gotten through each obstacle that comes, and like you're okay. Now what's next? And now, I mean, you at some point you kind of like, and I know we've gotten through like, okay, now what? Now
Yeah.
what's gonna happen? But then when it's kind of like we're at a point like nothing's happening, and it's like,
It's normal.
now really what's gonna happen now? Because now I
Yeah.
don't want anything to happen, because like I don't want to disrupt what we have.
Oh, yeah.
Like we have this rhythm now, and I'm like, I don't want anything to fall.
Yeah, we've all
So-
gone through those tests where you're like, oh, here we go, and then you know the answer, and you're like, okay, done. But then you get to those obstacles or those tests where it's like multiple choice, and you just throw everything up in the air and circle D, all of the above, and you want to move on, and it doesn't let you because it's the wrong one.
But another
So
thing
don't
too
stay
is
trapped.
yeah, don't stay trapped. There are things we've seen a life coach for a while, and she was awesome. I love her. If anybody wants to know here in Bakersfield, I can gladly give her name. I mean, she was awesome, and she gave us like, we didn't see her very long, but she gave us such simple tips that, and I think it was stuff we knew. It just we needed to hear it from somebody else. And a big thing was the past has to be the past. And it's the hardest thing to swallow, but if you're saying, okay, this is what happened, I'm coming clean, I forgive you, we're good, I'm sorry, you know, we're good, and we made peace. Just like we go to confession, we're good, you know, you're good for now.
Yeah, you
Once
cannot,
you do that, book closed, you have to stop. You can't keep throwing whatever happened in that person's face. You can't keep reliving it, because it's never going to get buried.
Yeah, you're not Google. You cannot keep all that in your history. You cannot keep the same searches in your history box. You're not Google.
And we're human. And if you
Yeah.
can't get past it, then there's an issue deeper than just that act. Maybe, or whatever happened. Then maybe we have to dig deeper, and we have to figure out, why is it really bothering me? And then we had to do that. We had to really dig, and it took a long time, and I hate to say it, and I hope it doesn't take a long time for everybody else, because it was a lot of wasted time and fighting, and it hurt in the process. But I do think that therapy can be awesome. I think that talking it out, and like I said, this is why we're doing this. Like I wish I had things I wish I had this opportunity almost 10 years ago, that I could have like this open, you know, dialogue with somebody, and we weren't ashamed to talk about these things. Because if I would have had this,
It's out
I don't
there.
think we would have ever gone through half of the crap we went through. But like, it's okay to admit that we don't know. We don't have all the answers. And
No one's perfect.
no, and we all, you know, whether you
marriage
pray
is
on it,
perfect.
whether you just throw it out there in the air and hope that, you know, you get an answer, or you just wait for it to slap you in the face, whatever works for you. Like, for me, I'm huge on prayer. I pray all the time, and all I say is, you know, guide me on what is next for me. Guide me on an answer. Guide me on whatever I need to know, on how to handle a situation, whatever it is. And for me, that works, and that's okay. But my thing is, like, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not know all the answers, but limit that to either somebody that's a professional or somebody that is neutral and is not going to take sides.
Bias.
Because that unbiased person is key. Because if not, you're gonna get what you want to hear, and that other person's not gonna get it, and it's
remember-
not fair. That's not a fair fight.
And remember, you cannot go seeking counsel from your parents, because they're always going to be on your side.
And they're two different
All right?
people.
Yes, they're gonna be on your side. So that would be my thing, is really try to seek the answers among yourselves.
Like, we came from divorced parents. You know, our parents are not together anymore, and that's exactly, like, I always say it, and I know my sister says it now. I'm like, what real stable marriage that's still around did I have to really look up to? Aside, I think, from both of us, would only be our grandparents. And our grandparents, I know for Armando, it wasn't the best example. But the one thing that they had is they stuck together till the end, pretty much. Same thing for mine. Like, you would never see it bad, but you would hear things, but they stuck together till one of them passed, for both of us.
Yeah, and you know, you move on, because those I Love Lucy days don't exist, where Ricky Ricardo sleeps on his own bed and I Love Lucy sleeps on her own bed. You know, that I think that's kind of past. You know, what's in now is that you guys go to bed angry, turn your back against each other, and snooze it off. But that's not the answer either.
Times have changed, but we really have to, search deep. Really think about what marriage you're aspiring to. What would, like he said, okay, so maybe not sorry, I lost my train of thought. what is your end goal? Who do you, not that necessarily who do you want to be like, but like what kind of marriage do you want? What do you think is going to be best for you two? We know what's best for us right now because it's working. Obviously, it's a result. Our children are happy and healthy. Our home, we're stable.
There's
We're
always
good.
room for
But it
improvement.
can always get better.
Yeah, there's
But
always
I
room
mean,
for
but we know what
improvement.
works right now, and it was figuring out all the wrong stuff and eliminating it. And I know those close to me know what I mean, because you kind of have to eliminate all the toxicity. If somebody's just feeding you a lot of BS, get rid of it. They can still be your friend, they can still be your family, but you don't have to go to them for anything. Like, you see them, you love them, awesome. But you have to limit all that until you're in a good place where it's kind of like gonna bounce right back off.
Yeah, you
It's
guys
not
gotta
gonna enter in your inner
remember
circle.
again. I'm gonna reiterate again. Anything anybody says outside these four walls is just an opinion. And what really matters is what Stephanie says in my house. If anybody says, "Oh man, I think you need to paint your house black." Oh, thanks for your opinion. Hey, honey, do you want to paint the house black? Hell no. Well, that's what matters, right? No, we're not painting the house black. Thanks for your opinion, and that's all it is.
I just think, if you married this person, you married them for a reason. Don't be afraid to like ask them things. Don't be afraid to open up to them, to let them see that vulnerability and really see you for who you are. It's okay to cry. It's okay to scream. I know I've done it plenty of times.
You know what? You guys should. What I recommend, and me and Stephanie, actually, Stephanie is the one that started implementing this on me when she started making me have conversations that make me feel uncomfortable.
I push the limits.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute, and I started having conversations that I would normally feel uncomfortable about having, and now I find it very comfortable, and now I feel like I can just openly say something, because I know that with the communication that me and her have, she's not gonna take it in any wrong way, because we've had this in-depth conversation.
That's the thing. So if Armando's telling me like, hey, that dinner you made, and I like to cook. So if he tells me like, yeah, it just wasn't it 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, you didn't like it? What was wrong with it? And see, now I'm like, what was it? Like, maybe my seasonings were off. Now I can take it in a different context and be like, damn, what did I do differently today? If it's something I make all the time. And granted, it doesn't happen very often, but what it does, yeah. it doesn't piss me off. It's more like, oh, shit, what did I do? So I start thinking about me, and I'm like really analyzing what I do. But I'm not her. I'm not like crying and sad, or like if I paint something and it came out shitty, he's not like, that looks like crap. No. You have to learn how to talk to each other. So if you know that your spouse is sensitive, just watch your words a little bit. There's a nice way to say something and still get your point across. And I think that's something like, literally, that's the hardest thing to get to in a marriage, is because that took us years to get there. Where I can be like, your lineup's a little crooked.
We would get defensive over stuff.
Why? What did I do?
It would be over dumb stuff.
And then it just snowballs.
And you really don't want to fall and go down that road, because, again, you married this person because you trust them. This is the person that you decided that you're going to be with for the rest of your life, or for the time being. I don't know, who knows what's going to happen then, but in this very moment, if they tell me, hey, you're going to jump out the airplane with your wife and you have this one parachute, guess what? We're sticking together on this one parachute, and we're going to risk it. It's not going to be you jump and I'm just going to die. No, it's going to be both of us are going to use the same parachute, and it's going to be an even landing.
You just have to figure it out. I mean,
it has to.
Another thing too is don't drag on the inevitable. If you know, and it's the same issue you're having over and over, and it's a big issue. And we're not talking about not doing housework or even sex, because sex even can be resolved. We're talking about something really big, like big trust issues, big communication issues. If the same problem's happening and nothing ever changes, and you're just like delaying the inevitable of separating or whatever it is, sometimes that little time apart can help in those situations. But don't stay. I hate it when people say stay together for the kids. That's not the right thing.
That just makes you worse for the kids.
The kids are smart. They pick up on everything, whether you think or not. But they know what's really going on. And then what are you showing your kids? To just settle.
Stay content.
Yeah, and then like I had to bring up to somebody I know. I said, I have 2 daughters. Would I be telling my daughter, and I wouldn't even for my son, this can go. Would I be telling my child to change who they are as in their core? Sorry, my daughter's photobombing. Would I tell my children, any of them, to change who they are, and like twist themselves into something that somebody else needs them to be? Where you're taking away all of your values, you're changing who you really are. And that person said no, and I said, I would never tell my child to do that. I would never say, if you want to keep this man, you need to become what he wants. Never. Because then then eventually you're still not gonna be together. You're gonna be miserable, and you're gonna resent that person for something that you consciously did. Like we all, like I said, this whole expectation thing. We all have this expectation of what we think we want or need, but we have to find out what works, because each of our homes are so different. We're not, as much as I would love to have grown up in the 50s, and had one person working and been able to do it on one income. Reality is, it's not that anymore for most of us. If we are, we're very fortunate, but we're not. So we both work. We both go to school. So we both share the household duties, and that's okay for us. That might not be okay for somebody else, but if those expectations are discussed at the beginning when you're dating somebody, and you decide, I just can't deal with things like that, then don't go forward. And then don't try to talk about it 5 years in and be like, well, I mentioned to you that that's what I wanted. No. You know early on when you're dating that, okay, he expects to have his home cooked dinner every day. Can I do that? Or I don't even want those sex in there, because those expectations change. But he expects, this specifically or that specifically, or he expects, that we're going to split the bills in half, or we're going to have separate checking accounts, and she's going to have her money, he's going to have it. Those are all things you discuss before you're married, not after the fact. And I've told plenty of people that are dating when they're thinking they just want to move in with somebody, and I'm like, get to know them first. Live with them first. Live with them before you get married. I would tell my own children that, even though that's not recommended, because you don't know somebody until you live with them.
Absolutely. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
And even after you get married and live with them, you still change. But at least you have kind of a core, like, okay, I know that he likes to, be up at 4 a.m. every day. Okay, can I deal with that? Yes. Whatever it is, we know who's messy or who's clean or who's OCD and who's not. And that's okay. Those are just things that
you deal with.
If she's messy, I'm going to pick up the slack or whatever it is. Or I just can't get mad at her. Whatever the issues are. But you learn that what you have to interact with and deal with on a daily basis. Everything's about choices, though. We all have choices to be here or not be here. And it is a choice to be with that person, that partner, whatever it is, label, title in your life, that you're not forced. Yes, it is huge to get divorced. Yes, it is sometimes just a piece of paper to some people. Whatever it is for you. I'm not judging. But my thing is, nothing is forever. Not anything other than death. Death is forever. But nothing is forever. And we all don't know how much time we have here on this earth. So it's like, do the best you can, make the most out of it. Be happy for most of it, God willing.
Make sure that what you guys have to say to each other, that it matters. That's been my success, is pay attention, because sometimes what she has to say matters. It's important. It might not be just, hey, what time are you going to pick up the kids, and something that's like the normal or the usual, right? But if you can really pay attention and show that what you're saying to each other matters, you'll get a lot of results. You'll be surprised what's in those words, along those subliminal messages sometimes.
Yeah, so I'm going to end it on that. So for those, really focus and get to the core of those issues between you two. Nobody else. Not the kids, not the neighbor, not your parents, not your sister, brother, whoever. No. Get to the root of the problem and fight it head on. If that person means that much to you. And if they don't, you got to be honest with them. You have to really determine how important is that problem worth fighting about? No. Or is it just like, I need to get over this. It's
Usually
freaking driving me
nothing's
nuts.
ever worth fighting
But
about.
if it's huge enough, then, you know, redesign boundaries. Okay, you know, you're telling this person a little too much. This person's too involved in our marriage. We need new boundaries now. We need to design it, but we need to do it together because we're together and this is us. So because I'm part of you and you're a part of me, we need to do this.
Yeah.
Don't make demands. Don't make decisions on your own. It has to be done in unity.
In unity.
So that's what I would heavily suggest. And once I think you can get to that, I think everything else is kind of just, you know, it's small. In the big picture, it's going to be small in the big scheme of things. So.
I'm going to leave you guys with what everybody else outside your house and that's not underneath your roof has something to say. That's all an opinion. That's what I'm going to leave you guys with. Take it for a grain of salt, okay? All right? The only people that matter are the people that are in your house. That's it. Everybody else has something to say about the color of your house or whatever it is, the smell of your car is just an opinion. All right, guys?
Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye.